Hey guys, I'm Justin Shantie and I work for Monster Energy Kawasaki for Joey Savatgy. Alright, so starting at the front end of the bike, we have Renthal bars. Joey runs a twin wall 999. It's like their flattest bar. Pretty neutral setup as far as like position, lever, stuff like that. He does them in the back hole of the X-Trig clamp. I basically set up the same way his PC bike was set up to start with, and we haven't really moved anything. So Bob from Art got us hooked up with some new levers for the 19. Everything's working out really good there. He runs the Renthal Kevlar half waffle. Got a couple of cool carbon covers that we had made to protect the master cylinders. We got 2 of them now, so he's kind of tuned his leverage points and stuff to how he wanted it. Yeah, he runs Renthal donuts. No throttle play. That's a big difference between Eli and Joey. Eli runs about quarter turn of slack. Joey is little, I mean, I wouldn't say none, but he's like just a little bit of slack. Kind of moving a little further down, obviously factory Showa suspension, paired with a X-Trig ROCS clamp. There's some ports for some data, just data on the fork to get some pressures and stuff. Basically what those are, one's like a bleeder and one's a port for data. So obviously the core graphics does all the visuals on the whole bike. OE brake lines match with a SR Kawasaki caliper and brake hanger. When you feel it on the stand, it's gonna feel a little spongy, but it's really progressive on the track, and that's what he really likes about it. It's an SR rotor through Kawasaki. SR meaning like special rider, special racer, factory hardware really. Carbon's done in-house or through a vendor from in-house. The disc guard, the skid plate, some of the other little bits on the bike you'll check out here in a little bit. SR hubs, a new colorway this year. We went back to the gold or Kashima coat, you might call it. Tie in with the gold in the graphics. The axle, everything's Thai. It's all from Japan. SR again, SR bike really. So lugs come from Showa. They mess around with offset, stuff like that, but classified. Because of Kawasaki's relationship with both companies, they're allowed to run one or the other. Really likes to have one of each on the bikes. Joey runs Showa, Eli runs KYB. Their clamps are a little bit different. They run a little bit different offset, I believe. And another thing Eli runs that Joey doesn't, a different brake caliper than Joey. They're both SR parts, but Joey runs a magnesium one with a little bit of different piston sizes. Radiators are actually a production radiator that we modify in-house. We add some support. Everything else is production, you know, shine them up. Actually, that is a cap. I think it comes on a KX450, and it's just a really high bar, so it's a 1.8. I think the bike comes with a 1.1 or a 1.3. It's just for, you know, boil over. That spring's just a little stiffer to keep the coolant in the bike. I drill it to keep the radiator cap on. If it ever gets hit, it only turn a little, I mean, just the littlest tiny bit before it'll catch that little R-clip pin. We've added a secondary start button here for the rider. Fires it right up, same as the one on the bar. Just kind of tucked in there, hidden, just in case rainy day you need another start button. So it's a pretty trick little part. We developed a little clamp to go around the bar there and add it to all the other little things that makes this a race bike. Everything's done in our engine room, a lot of development, in-house dynoing. Man, the package that they gave him right out of the gate is awesome. You know, he's been able to play around with some mapping here and there, but just the package that they started both the guys off with is just excellent. I mean, it's a great package to start with anyway out of the crate, so that is a big thing on the bikes these days. We put this new bracket on here that we made in-house, data collection port. He'll come in, just plug it into his computer, USB it back to the computer, and then he can look at everything. He's collecting data from all the regular stuff that the bike would come with sensor-wise, so like air sensor, ambient air, you got water temperature, you got RPM, you got oil temperature. We do, like I said, the fork stuff. We have a couple other sensors on the bike that are collecting data for the data guy, but he can just kind of get a little bit more in tune with the bike. It's really nice to be able to have that as a tool to help throughout the day. These are both production hangers this year. It's got a hole in it now. It didn't have that last year. So through the testing, that's probably all rigidity stuff. The ignition cover is an in-house part, all billet aluminum along with the starter cover, just for impact resistance, just trying to make the thing bulletproof, you know. Shifter all production. We leave the front for like mud packing in it. Pegs are probably one of the coolest things on the bike to me because I get to watch them get made in-house. And then Boncho, our fabricator, will take the pieces from the machine and then he bends the metal, welds it all up, completely in-house, raw material to in the parts tray for me and crayons. Peg hangers as well, all done on the CNC in-house, matched up with some SR foot peg pins, a couple of cool covers on each side to keep the mud from packing in. Those are titanium. He's in the top hole as it would come production, and they match the hanger to fit that. So swing arm pivot is titanium from Kawasaki with a titanium nut. Production seat with a Decor gripper cover, and airbox this year completely production with a uni air filter. We use an anti-gravity battery. Both guys are on Renthal 1451 with a DID chain, DRT2. We use a rivet link just for, you know, be confident about the chain staying on and not have to worry about a clip and all that. So at Renthal chain wheels, carbon in-house chain slider here that we modify to match the gearing ratio that we're using. So it's made a little bit longer here, so it actually guides the chain onto the sprocket, so there's never an issue of derailing. Titanium rear axle, in-house axle blocks that are made on the CNC, and yeah, just some more tie for the chain adjusters. Tie sprocket bolts, stock nuts. They're like a Fuji style nut. It's like a locking nut just for a little peace of mind. So this year they went with just a different color spring. It looks more like a titanium, but it uses a steel spring just for feel. That's a special thing from Showa that's been worked out to be really, really nice in Supercross. They've really developed it for the whoops. He got on that thing right away and was like, this thing's excellent. So we have an in-house link that we've made to match his riding and how we want it to work. So the link arm and the linkage is all made in-house. As far as the link arms go, we try to make a variation of where we think we're going to be lengthwise, you know, so when you usually do in 0.5 millimeter increments. So this is an SR rear master cylinder. Basically, it just doesn't have a window in the back, just so nothing can hit it, nothing can pop out. We got these cool caps that are made with Joey's number on it. Those are really nice, anodized. Got a brake clevis. It's more tailored for quick pedal change. You bend the pedal, pull the pin out instead of having like the cotter pin style in the back. Stock rear brake line I've wired up so the slider doesn't move. The OEM rear caliper. Put some SR tie banjo bolts on it. Wired those up. He runs the production pad with SR style rear rotor. Both ends are, you know, laced up with DID wheels. For that hub, it needs a special spoke and nipple. Pro Circuit, long-running sponsor of Kawasaki. Fully open to develop anything that we need, and they're there for any of our needs, really. So we got this cool header, a little bit different looking than you would notice on like a production bike or on a bike in the pits you would see. So it's got an extra chamber on the front, a little bit classified on why it's there. Power-wise, it's really good, and it's matched with with our own SR style factory, you know, call it a muffler, Kevlar green end cap on there that's special to our team. Those ribs are on there for strength. They're always all over the bike, so they're slapping the bike and they're denting the cans. There's a lot of critical chambers in that section right there. Decor does some cool frame grip tape for us. In the pivot, there's a pressed in slug. It stays in there. We call it a brake stop. If you have an impact, that force is gonna pull the guts of the master cylinder out. Well, then there goes all your fluid. You don't have a back brake anymore. So what this does is set the height to whatever he has the pedal, and I lock it down. So now when this gets hit, instead of ripping the guts out, it just hits this stopper. It prevents any type of failure in the rear brake. This is an SR pedal. It's the same shape as the one that comes on the production bike, but it has this cool folding rear tip. And then we add this brake snake to it, we call it, to help anything from getting inside the pedal. That's gonna deflect anything from getting up into here, which gets into the spring, which locks the brake down. There's a lot of people that have DNF'd because they thought their engine was gonna blow up because they had their brake pedal locked down. Strength of this braided steel, like what you find on like an aircraft carrier to stop the jets. Obviously a lot smaller version of that. It'll keep it from bending out and snapping the pedal essentially. Everything inside is Hinson. Put a production plate stack in there. As far as the spring, they're both on like an SR heavier spring. Depending on the track, his track down in Florida, he burns them up still, just like the 250. Track and riding condition that plays a big part in him burning up. But the hydraulic clutch this year is really nice for no clutch fade. So in the clutch, we use a Maxima .4. It's called a 600 plus. It's their new racing brake fluid. We use the same actually in the brakes. We don't have any type of special clutch fluid. It's the same in all three. Obviously, VP Racing Fuels, power the bike. Production tank, Supercross, and I believe we're gonna run a carbon tank outdoors for volume. He runs a, what I would call a 145 millimeter button height. So it's like the middle of the button. So this one's always the same, that button height. There's no need now to run a double button for us because it never changes. You know, it's always the same. So that's an in-house piece, 6-screw star design. Wheelbase is changed with triple clamp offset, lug offset, bearing race offset, even just obviously just the axle position. Try and run it a little bit further back, more stability in the whoops. The whole thing is just from top to bottom tailored just for Joey Savatgy. So you can't do any of this without Dunlop putting the power to the ground. We use what we call like a prototype spec tire. It's the tires that we're developing with Dunlop for you guys. A different pattern than Eli in the front, and then in the rear, everybody's usually on this same style. The core does all the visuals, but a Cherubus does all the plastic on the bike, as well as the new graphics every week. We pair that with a new set of plastic. So every single week, new plastic, new seat cover.